coming in. Yeah, flex, I just wanna win. Yeah, LABB, who we running with. Yeah, 2233, I'm on 10 again.
Hey guys, welcome to my podcast. I'm Elo Speaks, and on my podcast, we talk about everything that's going on in the sports right now regarding the latest trending topics in the sports world, and have a great fun conversation talking about basketball, football, MMA, boxing, etc. I give my perspective and opinions on the sports topics that interest me, whether it's by myself, talking with guest appearances, debating, arguing, or disagreeing, or doing reaction videos. We are here to have a fun dialogue and talk about the sports that we love to watch. Make sure to follow me on Anchor, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, YouTube, and Twitch to get updates with my latest podcast when I drop. Stay tuned, thank you, and enjoy. Hello guys, welcome to the Elo Speaks Podcast. Thank you for watching or listening wherever you are listening right now, whether it's on YouTube, Anchor, Spotify, Apple Music, etc. I want to thank you for taking your time out of your day to listen to my podcast. Alright, so let's get into it. So I want to talk about three particular topics with subtopics in between them. The first thing I want to talk about is the NFL Super Bowl prediction on who's going to win between the AFC Championship game and the NFC Championship game. Also, what's going on with Aaron Rodgers and what will Tom Brady do this season. So, let's get into it. So, right now, we all seen what happened last week. A great divisional football game round between the 4 teams that were left and the 8 teams that were left, excuse me. And now we're down to just 4 teams left. And right now we're down to the Kansas City Chiefs, the Bengals, the 49ers, and the Rams. Now granted, when I was watching the Chiefs and Bills game, man, that was explosive. Those last 2 minutes, I was on the edge of my seat, excited. And you can also say about the Rams and the Bucks game, I thought Tom Brady was almost about to pull off the upset again, like he did against the Atlanta Falcons. But the Rams persevered and they moved forward to the next round by beating the Tom Brady and the Bucks. So let's get into it. So as regards to the playoffs, I think my prediction to who's going to win is, let's start with the NFC Championship game. The NFC Championship game is going to be a bitter rivalry in the NFC West between the Los Angeles Rams and the San Francisco 49ers. Now, from top to bottoms, the Rams have the better roster, but I can't count out the 49ers just yet because they're like a dark horse right now that's like running through everything. I didn't think they was going to get this far. I thought I would see them probably get out probably maybe in the first or second round, but for them to make it this far to face the Rams in the NFC Championship game is impressive on their part, so I can't count them out just yet. But if you go overall top to bottom from the roster, quarterback, running back, wide receiver, defense, for the most part, the Rams have the better players. Now, San Francisco do have some best players, but what it comes down to is quarterback play. And I personally think that Matthew Stafford is better at his quarterback play than Jimmy Garoppolo. Now, I could be wrong because last week I made a lot of wrong predictions on who I thought was going to win. I thought the Titans was going to win. I thought the Bills was going to win. I thought a lot of teams were going to win, etc. But for this one, I'm going to take the Los Angeles Rams. In this one, they're going to be playing on Sunday at SoFi Stadium. So the Rams will have home field advantage. So that's going to be another advantage for them to take part in as they go against the Rams. It's going to be a third time that they meet. So who knows what could happen, especially with divisional rivals. Anything could happen. I wouldn't be surprised if the San Francisco 49ers pulled off the upset, but I think it's safe to say that the Rams will win this game. The score I have the Rams winning 26, and I have the San Francisco scoring 23. I think it ends off the field goal with the Rams winning, and potentially Matthew Stafford going to his first ever Super Bowl. And the fact that he's been playing with that horrible, moribund franchise in Detroit for all his life, and for him to finally like break through and make it, this will be a great achievement for him just to make it and go to the Super Bowl. So it'll be a good achievement on his part. All right. So the next game that we have is the Kansas City Chiefs and the Cincinnati Bengals. Now this right here, the Cincinnati Bengals have been a dark horse. I'm happy for Joe Burrow. I really like Joe Burrow as a player. I think he's a great football team. I think he's a great leader. I've been watching him since LSU, and he shows a lot of potential. I didn't think they was going to get this far. I thought it was going to take a couple of years for him to develop and carry his team into the future. But the strides that he's making so far, I'm very happy in his progress and hope the best for him moving forward. Now, beating the Kansas City Chiefs is not tall task. It's going to be really tough. Cincinnati Bengals have one of the worst offensive lines in the playoffs right now. Joe Burrow got sacked 9 times during the Titans game, so that's going to be real tough. Now, I'm not saying like the Kansas City Chiefs defense are juggernauts or anything like that, but still, if you can't protect the quarterback and you're putting him in compromising positions where he's getting sacked, potentially fumbling or making a bad throw, he could throw an interception, that could be bad for the Cincinnati Bengals to move forward. And if you turn over the ball or give Kansas City Chief offensive more possessions on the field, they will blow you out by 20 points. So you have to take that in mind when scheming for this team. The best thing to do for them is to take the ball out of Patrick Mahomes' hand, keep him on the field, put your offense there, try to run the ball, try to win the time of possession. That's what I think they should do. Because if you give the ball back to Patrick Mahomes, he's going to make magic. And when he makes magic, anything's possible with him. So the best thing to do for the Cincinnati Bengals is time of possession, run the ball, make smart plays, don't turn over the ball, and just keep Kansas City on their heels. Just try to be in lead with them, because if Kansas City starts getting like going, is a wrap. I do have the San Francisco 49ers. My apologies. I do have the Kansas City Chiefs winning this game, but with the strides that the Cincinnati Bengals have been making so far, I can see them possibly being a competition for them, keeping the game close. So I have the Kansas City Chiefs winning 35 and the Cincinnati Bengals 27. All right. So, and the next side topic as regards to that. Now, we all saw the choke job that Aaron Rodgers did at Lambeau Field against the 49ers. I was heavily disappointed because I picked the Packers to win. They was having a great season. I also picked Aaron Rodgers as the MVP of the season, and for him to go down like that was really disappointing on his part. And now that his contract is up, rumors have been swirling about as regards to what he's going to do. What is he going to stay at Lambeau? Is he going to go to another team? What decisions he's going to be making? He did give after game interview. He was very coy, very nonchalant. Didn't really give too much answers, and I expect that from him. So because we don't know what he's going to do. To be honest, I think he should leave Green Bay. That's my personal opinion. I heard people ballyhooing about him going to Denver. That could possibly be an option for him. But going up against Patrick Mahomes and other QBs in that division is going to be tough. I understand that Denver Broncos have a great defense and just need a quarterback that could change around their franchise. And Aaron Rodgers can be the guy for that job, but he has to be smart in what he might be getting himself into as regards to that. So he has the power in his hand to do that. It was a great ride in Lambeau, but I just don't feel like they're putting the right pieces around him for him to win. I don't see it. I feel like they want to move on from Aaron Rodgers, but they want to know that there's nothing left from Aaron Rodgers so they can feel comfortable moving on from him, because if there's a lot more gas in the tank for Aaron Rodgers to continue playing for an extended amount of time, and he goes to another team and end up winning another Super Bowl or possibly MVPs, then it's going to look bad on the Packers, because that they let uh, a Hall of Fame QB walk out the door for literally nothing, and the fans of Lambeau are going to be pissed off about that. So they got to be mindful and careful. If I'm the Green Bay Packers, I'm doing everything in my power to try to keep Aaron Rodgers. I understand he's a diva. I understand that he has a preconceived notion about himself. He thinks he's the smartest guy in the room. I understand all that, but he's a once in a generation talent, and unfortunately, you have to make exceptions for exceptional people. And Aaron Rodgers is an exceptional quarterback where you have to make those type of sacrifices for him and get him what he wants, because we still don't know anything about Love, what he could do, and we see him play when he was on the field that one game, and I wasn't impressed by it. Now, granted, I'm not saying I wanted a 500 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interception game, but it's gonna take him a little bit of time to get his feet wet and try to take over the team as the new person that's gonna be playing for the Green Bay Packers. But that's all if Aaron Rodgers decides to leave. But I think he's gonna exercise his options, see what's on the table, see what's best for him, see what's not best for him. I think he should leave Green Bay Packers. I don't see the point of him staying there anymore. If he wants to stay there just for the love of the team, the fans, and be play there your whole career, that's great. But so far, we've seen other great quarterbacks such as Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, etc., leave to go to greener pastures, and they end up winning Super Bowls because of it. So that could possibly be, Aaron Rodgers' future moving forward. So that that's always on the mind of other people, because you already seen Peyton Manning win a Super Bowl with the Denver Broncos. We also seen Tom Brady in his first year with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers win, and so far, he's still playing there, and even though they lost against the Rams, but they're still in a position where they could have a chance to win for a couple of more seasons. So that's always good for them. So Aaron Rodgers could possibly go to a playoff contending team that needs a quarterback. Who knows? Maybe he could go to the Tennessee Titans. They could probably trade Ryan Tannehill for picks, and he could have a great running back as King Henry in the backfield. Or again, he could go to Denver. So those are the options that's for Aaron Rodgers right now in terms of what he wants to do. So because I know that in staying with Green Bay Packers, I personally don't see him winning another Super Bowl. He could probably make it to possibly NFC title games. I don't see him winning those. But in terms of winning multiple Super Bowls, I just don't see it. Because in terms of the roster that they put around him, they put a decent roster around him, but his defense is always not there to keep him up. Even though he had a bad game against the 49ers, the 49ers has always had Green Bay Packers numbers for some reason. I don't know why. Whether it's at home, on the road, etc., they just have their number. But it happens over and over and over and over and over for Aaron Rodgers, where it's time for him to step up, make the next leap, and be great and be seen as one of the top 10 quarterbacks in the league. He's just not there on that caliber of a Tom Brady, a Peyton Manning, et cetera, and all, because he's just not making it to the championship game. And unfortunately, I don't want to compare Tom Brady to Aaron Rodgers, but we've seen Tom Brady make it to championship game, NFC championship game, Super Bowls, time after time after time. So it's always been like that. But again, that's an unfair comparison. But I just wanted to show a dichotomy between the two and what we expect of Aaron Rodgers because he's a great quarterback. All right, so that's enough of that. The next topic I wanted to get into was this. This one's going to be real quick. I wanted to get into Tom Brady. Speaking of him, so the Tom Brady and the Bucks had lost to the LA Rams after nearly putting off a comeback. So another thing I wanted to get into is that will Tom Brady retire this season? And I think we all know the answer to that is no. I'm pretty sure he's at home right now, even eating his avocado ice cream, looking at game tape instead of seeing what he did wrong. And he's gonna come back next season more hungry, more ferocious, with more hunger, more fury. It's gonna light up a fire under him where he's gonna want to pursue more. I remember him joking that him and Gronkowski joking that he could play to 50. I'm starting to think that's not really a joke. Even at his current age, he's like 44 right now, but still, I see him playing a couple more years. He's gonna try to see if he can win as much Super Bowl as he can. One thing I don't particularly like Brady, it's not that I don't like him as a person or anything like that. He's probably a great person. I just hate him as a competitor. I just want to beat him. That's just be personal. I just as a competitor, I want to beat him. But one thing I do like about Brady is he doesn't let people tell him when to hang it up. He's gonna decide when he's time for him to hang it up. He's not gonna let his wife, the fans, the media, people like myself tell him to hang it up. He's going to decide when he's hanging up, and he's going to continue to reach new heights, even though he's already reached higher heights than most people would ever dream of in their lifetime. So for him to continue striving to be better, win as much Super Bowls as he can, I admire that, but damn. He's really trying to shatter that greatest quarterback of all time out the door. People already seen him as the best quarterback of all time when he won his 5th Super Bowl. Then on top of that, when he won his 6th Super Bowl, it just elevated him to the next level. And then when he won his 7th Super Bowl with Tampa Bay in his first year at a home Super Bowl game, that put him in a stratosphere of his own. He's in a league of his own where nobody can match him at all. If anybody ever picture comparing him to Tom Brady, it's gonna be blasphemy. That is gonna be like Jordan, how nobody's gonna be matched with Jordan. I understand that there's talks with LeBron James, but nobody takes those talks seriously because we already know those are media generated narratives routine to go conversation with Tom Brady, with LeBron James and Michael Jordan, but nobody's going to mention any quarterback with Tom Brady. Now, there's going to be a couple of old heads that's still going to say that Joe Montana is still the greatest quarterback of all time because of his greatness and winning 4 Super Bowls, no interceptions, being undefeated, etc. And you could have that argument, but it's going to be hard to do that with a quarterback who went to 10 Super Bowls and won 7 of them. So that's obviously Tom Brady's not going to retire. And most people know that. His wife knows that. He knows that. The fans know that. Everyone knows that. But it's going to be a tough outing. How it's looking like they're going to have to drag him off the field for him to retire. But you could tell he hit this is what he loves to do. He just wants to play football. And he wants to be the best that he can be. And he wants to keep shattering expectations. Every new goal that he has, he wants to shatter expectations and be the best that he can be. Nobody in their mind could thought that a quarterback could win 7 Super Bowls. So he's continuing breaking the wall, creating new expectations for himself and everyone else that's possibly watching him play. So I commend him for that, even though I hate Tom Brady, but it is what it is. He is the greatest quarterback of all time. He's continued doing great things. He's breaking records every season that he's played. He did have some craziness going on with his team. He had injuries, but I'm not going to give him that excuse because every team is dealing with injuries. And the craziness I'm talking about is obviously the Antonio Brown situation, but that's what you get with Antonio Brown, to be honest. Like, that he's a live wire. Like, you don't know what you're going to get out of him. You wanted him on your team, so you got to deal with all the good and the bad that comes with him. So that's it with that. So I do see a Tom Brady coming back for a couple more seasons. I don't know how long he's going to play, but he's going to try to play as long as he can. And good luck to him. And I wish him the best in terms of his future endeavors playing football. All right, and that's all I have for as regards to the NFL topic. So I want to get into the next topic. Sit back, we'll be on a break. All right, hey guys, welcome back to the Elo Speaks Podcast. Thank you for taking a break with me. So now I'm back at it again with the next topic, and the main topic is going to be centered around James Harden and his frustration with the Brooklyn Nets and everything that's going on this season. And to be honest, I don't blame him. So let's get into it. So now there's been rumors circulating about that James Harden is going to be leaving at the end of the season with the Brooklyn Nets. And now rumors are starting about saying that should the Brooklyn Nets trade him. Now, that's a tough decision to make. If I'm the Brooklyn Nets front office, I wouldn't trade Brooklyn Nets. I wouldn't trade James Harden. I'll try to ride out the season. I'll try to see what's going on with Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. I understand, Kyrie Irving's foolishness going on with not taking the vaccine and playing part-time is quite troublesome and annoying, and I can understand his frustration. Now, Kevin Durant is currently injured with a knee injury, and his timetable is unknown. We don't know when he's going to come back. Hopefully he comes back with a speedy recovery, and they can move forward by trying to be just staying afloat, being a top 4 seed in the Eastern Conference. But it's not looking too good right now as regards to how the season is progressing forward. So we all know that the trade deadline is in February, and the Brooklyn Nets have some decisions to make. Would they want to trade James Harden for whoever's out there in free agency? But what I want to ask the Brooklyn Nets front office is, if you do trade James Harden, what are you going to get back from him? You're not going to, whatever you're trading is superstar, you never get adequate results for your trade. Like, you're not going to get an equal exchange. Normally, you're getting parts. You're not getting a good part or equal ball part. The only most trades I've seen is whoever got the superstar won the trade. That's how I see it. But there are certain instances where there's teams who traded players for equal value, like John Wall for Russell Westbrook. To me, that was an equal trade. Player-wise, contract-wise, that was an equal trade. It benefited both teams and how it went down. But with this particular trade going on right now, I just don't see how the Brooklyn Nets could trade James Harden right in the thick of the season, especially how everything's going on. And granted, I understand he's frustrated. He doesn't like his role. He don't like New York, Brooklyn, New York, staying there. The team chemistry is not gelling well because of the consistent injuries and roster movement. I could tell the front office coaching is a disaster. Steve Nash doesn't know what he's doing. I try to give him the benefit of the doubt, but he just doesn't know what he's doing at all. I don't see what's like. change up is for them. It's like it's KD or bust. I understand you have two great superstars on your team with James Harden and Kevin Durant, but you need to have some defensive scheme plans or some type of roster shakeup where it could help the team be better and be more formidable. Because even when they did have the number one seed in the conference, we still didn't feel like, yeah, this is the best team that could possibly win it all. I never like felt that they could win with that particular team. And now with the whole Kyrie Irving situation, what's next? Because even though Kyrie is playing part time basketball right now, he's playing because out of desperation, not out of necessity. He's not playing because we want him on the court. The Brooklyn Nets got desperate and they needed him on the court to stay afloat and be title contenders. So what's next? Because after next season, if James Harden do left, that's gonna be a huge blow for them because now they're gonna be lacking heavily in offense and they're already lacking in defense. So they're gonna have two All Stars on the team with Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant, which is still good enough to contend. But when James Harden was on the team, he was supposed to propel them over the hump to beat title contenders and win the championship. At least win one championship, and it hasn't looked that far. Same thing with the Los Angeles Clippers. So that's disappointing to see as regards to that. I don't see where James Harden could go after free agency. He could go back to Houston. I don't think he's gonna do that. I think he wants to play for a contending team where he could possibly win. But any team that he does go to, I'm gonna be surprised because I thought him and the Brooklyn Nets was gonna try to do this and actually win a title. I understand how he got to Brooklyn was kind of shunned upon from the media because of his actions and how he tried to request a trade. But still, nonetheless, he got to Brooklyn and they were close to almost going to the NFC East Championship game. If that team was healthy, they would have beat the Bucks at 5. That's just my opinion. I don't care what nobody says. If that team was fully healthy, with all three of them on the floor, even if you want to take James Harden out of it and you just wanted to keep it KD and Kyrie, they still would have beat the Bucks at 5. That's just my opinion. But I digress. Now it's getting hectic right now in the season where KD's hurt. We don't know when he's coming back. Kyrie is a part-time ball boy. I never thought I would see that. And James Harden is frustrated as well. So now the team is going through a lot of turmoil and a lot of grief right now where the future is not known. We don't know what's going on because unfortunately I don't want to put this out there, but KD is getting up there in age. It's something where he might get hurt again. I wish he doesn't get hurt, but it's just as we get older, the injury starts to pile up. And the same thing with Kyrie Irving. He had an injury history as well. So, I mean, it's great that he's playing. The great part about him playing part-time is it lessens the chance of him getting injured, and he also could heal faster from any nagging injuries that he might possibly have or any soreness that he might be dealing with. But still, nobody wants to pay you millions of dollars to be a part-time player. So that's just my thoughts and opinions on that as regards to that situation. There's an ugly situation overall, and I think the Brooklyn Nets front office are just scrambling around, seeing what they could do to try to fix this situation and possibly come out this winning a title. But it's gonna be tough. The Eastern Conference is not a gimme no more. There's a lot of tough competition with the Bucks, the Miami Heat, the Sixers, etc. So it's gonna be a tough outing moving forward. The next topic I wanted to talk about is, of course, my favorite topic, is the NBA MVP race. So far with Kevin Durant being hurt, Steph Curry going to a slump, it left the MVP race wide open. So right now the front runner at this moment is Nikola Jokic, the Joker, and he's averaging 25 points, 13 rebounds, and 7 assists, which are great numbers. Now, people want to talk about his record-wise, and I perfectly understand that. But you gotta understand his team is not fully healthy. He's missing MJG and he's missing Murray, so that heavily impedes him in terms of winning. I'm pretty sure if he had a full healthy roster, they would have been in a higher seed. So then we have number 2, we have Giannis Antetokounmpo. Right now, Giannis Antetokounmpo is having a quiet season. I think we're just so used to him dropping 28, 11, and 6 as regards to that we don't like. We just expect that from him, so it's nothing new for him. I think that's why he's not getting ballyhooed about in terms of the MVP conversation. But if he continue to drop these numbers and raise his team to a higher record wise, then he could jump into that MVP race and probably lead the charge on that. Number 3, we have Joel Embiid with the Philadelphia 76ers, and he's been dropping great numbers too. He's dropping 28, 10, and 4, which is great for him. I'm happy for him and the Philadelphia 76ers playing great the way that they are, especially with Ben Simmons out being a diva that he is. And I'm surprised that they're like playing good. MVP, he's possibly in striking distance to win MVP. I think that Giannis and Nikola Jokic are having just a little bit better season than he is. So I can understand why he's being number 3 in the race. But if he continue playing great like this and don't get hurt, he could possibly win the MVP. I could see him win the MVP. So right now, Kevin Durant is number 4. He dropped all the way down. He was number 1 in the MVP race. I had him winning the MVP if he continued to play the way that he did. He was averaging 29, 7, and 5, and they had the number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference. But unfortunately, he got hurt with a knee injury, and that sidelined him for however long. So I don't see him winning the MVP anymore, depending on how long this injury is going to last. But he dropped down to number 4. And number 5, we have Chris Paul with averaging numbers of 14, 4 rebounds, and 10 assists. Those are decent numbers for a guy in his advanced age, but I don't see those as MVP numbers. I do see that the Phoenix Suns in a great position because of him, but I don't see him winning the MVP. And those are I wanted to talk about the top 5, but I have to mention the 6 because Steph Curry just like fell off the map. I don't know what's going on with him. He's been going through a huge shooting slump, and we don't know what's going on. He can get his act together and start playing better. Otherwise, they're gonna lose their sole grip on the Western Conference in terms of seeding wise, and it's not gonna be good for them moving forward. All right, and the next topic I wanted to talk about was Anthony Davis. So recently, he returned to the Los Angeles Lakers against the KD-less, Kyrie-less Brooklyn Nets. They was able to win that game by 10 points, which is a shame. I feel like if you were playing, if you have LeBron James, Russell Westbrook, Anthony Davis on the floor, and you're going up against the Brooklyn Nets, and they don't have KD and Kyrie, and it's just James Harden, you should be able to beat that team by 20 points. That's just my personal opinion. I don't care what's going on with everything else. You have that much talent on the floor. You should be able to do something, at least. If they were playing a full, healthy Brooklyn Nets team and they beat them by 10, then I'd have been like, okay, that was an impressive win by them. But I'm not impressed by this win at all. I still need to see more. We don't know what's going on with Anthony Davis. They did say he had knee soreness, so he didn't play that long. He only had 8 points. He had, I think, 4 blocks, which was good because the Lakers, they need a defensive anchor to help carry them because of the poor defensive play overall. But I don't see Anthony Davis being healthy moving forward. I don't know what's going on with the Lakers, what they're gonna do before the trade deadline. But if they continue with this roster after the trade deadline, then they're gonna be in the playing tournament at worst. They're gonna be in the playing tournament. So it's not going to be good for them moving forward. Um, he's called street clothes for a reason. I don't see Anthony Davis at his age too. He's like really young. I think he's around 26, 27. So he's young, and the fact that he's been dealing with injuries his whole career, I don't see him being the Lakers' like future moving forward because of his injury history. And by the time he gets into his 30s, I don't see it getting better. To be honest, I don't see it getting better. And what decisions they're gonna make when LeBron James leave or retires? You can't tell me you're gonna have Russell Westbrook and Anthony Davis. That team's gonna be a disaster. Clearly, it's gonna be awful. So yeah, so I mean, I wish him the best. I hope he has a healthy season, play the rest of the way. But I just don't see them making that push to be a top of the seed. Maybe they could possibly be a fifth, at worst a fourth seed. I mean, at best a fourth seed. But as long as they could avoid the play-in tournament, I think they'll be all right. I don't see them winning a title or anything like that, or contending. They could possibly make it to the second round, but at the rate that they're playing defense, it's just not good for them overall. And I just don't see where they could adjust overall and make up changes to where they're gonna be a better team, because by the end of the day they're still old. They don't play defense. Their their roster rotation is atrocious. That's why Frank Vogel's job is on the line, because they, obviously when you're playing a LeBron James team, you need a scapegoat on a team. And so far, there's two right now. It's Frank Vogel or Russell Westbrook. So whoever's playing poor is going to get majority of the blame. And that tends to happen with LeBron James led teams. There's always going to be the coaching is always going to be it's going to be excruciated upon. And on top of that, whoever a star player is on his team, particularly the third star on the team, is going to get majority of flack with playing with LeBron James in terms if they're losing or underperforming. It happened in Miami with Chris Bosh. The same thing happened with Kevin Love in Cleveland. And the same thing's going on right now with Russell Westbrook. So it's nothing new. They fired the previous coach when LeBron James got there. So it's nothing new that we haven't seen before. I just wish people would call it out more in terms of how to see it, because whenever LeBron James orchestrates these super teams, and they win, he gets all the credit. They joke around, say he's the GM, etc. But then when they lose, they're struggling, everything's not going good. Out of nowhere, LeBron James is just an NBA player. He doesn't have a say in the roster moves, etc. And I think that's BS, and he needs to be called out on it, and he needs to be held responsible for this roster that he constructed. I don't care about anything else after that, because when it comes to the front office, he has a seat in the front office, and they go by him in terms of what roster moves he wants to make, and he has that right to have a say. He's the best player on the team. He's one of the best players in the league, and he should have a say. But once he does have a say and things doesn't work out, he needs to be held responsible and liable for the decision that's made and be called out for it. So that's just what I think about as regards to that. So, all right. Thanks for watching. Those are my take on what's regarded in the NBA right now in terms of James Harden, the MVP race, and Anthony Davis coming back. So we're going to take a break and we'll be right back. All right, welcome back to the Elo Speaks Podcast. Thanks for waiting. So the last topic I want to get into is the UFC 270 recap, and that recap is regarding the fight between Francis Ngannou and Cyril recap to unify the heavyweight championship of the world and just give my thoughts and opinions on the matter. So, in terms of this fight, I was heavily impressed on what I seen from Francis Ngannou. Watching the few fights that I have of Cyril Gane, he's a really technical fighter, great striker. He's a point fighter. He outpoints his opponents, and that's a great way to win fights. But in terms of going down into the scorecards, I don't particularly like trusting the referees in terms of like win the fight, because they might see that you like when it comes to like fights like that, you think you might have won the fight, but they might have seen a different fight. They might look at things different when it comes to split decisions and overall decisions. If the fight was to continue to stand up and Cyril Gane were to continue to outpoint Francis Ngannou, he would have won the title. But the thing that really, really, really impressed me the most out of all of that was that Francis Ngannou has improved drastically in his wrestling and ground game. Like, not granted, it's still raw, and there's still some improvements that he needs to make in terms of what he needs to do. He can't just wrestle and snap to the right ground and just hold him there for like a couple of minutes, but still, the fact that he was able to utilize that and hold and do a little bit of damage, like not just like ground ground and stall him the whole fight, but he showed some versatility in this game, and I was really impressed by that he was able to retain his title by beating the interim champion to win. And I think that was to me, that's a signature win for him. It shows growth. It shows that he's not going to knock out every potential fighter that he faces. He's going to have to find different ways to win the fight. He can't just knock everybody out. That's not going to happen, or TKO people. He's going to have to figure out a way to possibly win on the scorecard, or win by decision, or win by via submission. There's other ways to win the fight. You don't have to always go for the knockout, and particularly if you're going up against well-skilled fighters like Cyril Gane, he's not going to go down lightly, so you're going to have to find a different way to win, and that's what Francis Ngannou did. He found a different way to win, and he was able to come out with it, and I was happy for him, because if he kept on continuing to try to go for that knockout and it didn't go, he was going to tire himself out throughout the 5 rounds, and Cyril Gane was going to continue to pick him apart and end up winning the fight. Now, granted, in the first 2 rounds, I had Cyril Gane 2-0, like straight up. I thought he was having a masterful fight game. His coaches were telling him to do it. He was doing good. Now, out of nowhere, that's when Francis Ngannou utilized his wrestling to the T, and then that's when he was able to get the upper hand and win the fight. And that's what impressed me the most about that situation, because it was like, damn, it was reminiscent to Stipe Miocic versus Francis, where he was Stipe was just overwhelming Francis, and Francis never dealt with that before, so he just kind of like curled up and kind of gave up a little bit even before the fight was over. But I think he learned from that experience and became a better fighter. And he also told Stipe that he because of that fight that he lost against Stipe Miocic, he became a better fighter. He became smarter. He utilized other skills besides the knockout. I do think that he needs to be more technical with his striking. I feel like he's too predictable. He needs to utilize some kicks more. I don't see him kick at all. He's kicked a few times, but he needs to utilize. He needs to change up his striking levels, so that way he could be more unpredictable. He needs to go to the body more. He needs to utilize that. In the MMA, what I love about the MMA is there's a wide range of things you can do. You could grapple your opponent, beat them up on the inside like that. You could strike with them, hit them to the head, to the body, kicks. kick to the body, multiple ways you could damage your opponent. It's not just strictly punching or striking. You could do that. So I just was impressed with Francis Ngannou because he turned that into a wrestling match, and that's something I thought I'd never see from Francis Ngannou, where he basically utilized his wrestling, overpowered Cyril Gane, and basically took him to the ground. He did little damage, not too much, but he did enough to help him win the fight. And then in the fifth round, I thought that when Cyril Gane had got the takedown on Francis, I was like, "Wow, okay, Cyril Gane won that fight. He's about to finish him right now." And all he had to do was continue to power him to the ground, maybe do a little bit of damage, and he could have possibly won the fight. He could have won the fight, but Francis Ngannou out of nowhere go for the reversal when Cyril Gane stupidly trying to go for a leg lock submission, and I was like, "What are you doing?" That was a critical error in the fight that he made, and that's what lost him the fight. If he continued the ground game and just stuck him there because I could see that if Francis Ngannou he was exhausted. He was exhausted, but he gave Francis Ngannou just a little bit of room just for the reversal, and once he did that, he kept Cyril Gane on the ground, and he knew he won the fight. Cyril Gane could have won that fight. That's the thing that was like, wow, why would you do that? And I don't see too much of Cyril Gane ground game, but I feel like he could have won that fifth round right there and there because I had the fight going 2-2 going to the fifth because I think Cyril Gane won the first two rounds, and then when Francis Ngannou won his two, he won the third and fourth round. So I had it even going in the first round. So I said whoever win this fifth round wins the fight, and Francis ended up winning the fight in the fifth round. So it was impressive on his part. So hey, I want to congratulate him as regards to that. And better luck next time for Cyril Gane. I personally could see him becoming a heavyweight champion in the future, and becoming a dangerous opponent because I've seen him devastate people. I devastate other fighters, like skilled top five fighters. So he's gonna be in the top five contention. I think he's gonna learn from this fight and become better. But the thing about it is, Francis Ngannou is learning too, and he's becoming even more better. So who knows what we might have moving forward as regards to that. So I just wanted to give my thoughts and take on that. I just think that was a great overall fight, skilled fight. It didn't give us the power knockout that we experienced, but it's not every fight is gonna end in a knockout. There's gonna be other ways where fighters can win the fight, and as long as that fighter wins, I think they don't really care that they got the knockout or not. So that's just my thoughts and opinions on the matter as regards to that. Now, when it comes to Francis Ngannou's next fight, obviously we want the John Bones Jones fight. We're not sure if we're going to get that. Francis Ngannou's going through some legal issues right now in terms of the UFC and whatever situation they got. Personally, I don't too much care about that because it's not dealing with sports. If it becomes out of blown proportion, I'll probably talk about it in the future. But so far, I just wanted to talk about the fight and what's going on. So, could a possible fight with John Jones happen sometime this year? I think so. John Jones was on social media, on Twitter, saying that he would beat up Francis Ngannou and Cyril Gane. He called them bumps. So that's just adding more excitement to the fire of what could possibly happen sometime this year. I seen John Jones have been training, but I still feel like it's been too long that he has a fight. I feel like he needs a tune-up fight with a top five opponent in the game, so that way he could prove to me that he's ready for a championship fight. Possibly a fight with him and Stipe Miocic might be a great fight. I would love to watch that. But So far, if they do have a heavyweight fight, championship fight with him and John Jones, I'm going to talk about that, and it'll be great for the sport of the UFC to have. And I think it will break a record numbers for, we don't know who possibly might happen. We don't know how John Jones might contend in the heavyweight division. How would Fresno go defeat a skilled fighter such as John Jones in the heavyweight division and move forward? So those are my thoughts and opinions right now. And so far, we at the end of the podcast. I wanted to thank you guys for sitting with me today. If you've been here throughout the whole podcast, thank you. So we're close to ending the podcast. I want to thank you guys for listening. Tell me what you think. Do you agree, disagree with my takes? Let me know down in the comment section down below. If you're watching this on YouTube, make sure to like, subscribe on your way out. Make sure to follow me on all my other social media platforms, or follow me on Patreon, etc. And this is Elo Speaks out. Peace.